Hey guys! Welcome to Mama's Boys. In this program, we will meet priests from around the globe. We will discuss interesting features of their lives, from their humble beginnings, their calling, the churches, and more. Sa'yo lamang.
Sa'yo lamang ang puso ko.
Stella Maris.
Maria sa puso ni naman, ika'y tala ng kalangitan.
Bayang Umawit. Ilan lamang yan sa mga kantang isinulat ni Fr Silvino Junjun Borres, S.J. Sa episode na ito ay mas lalo pa natin siyang makikilala. Dito lamang lahat yan sa Mama's Boys, Mama Mary's Boys.
Ako po si Fr Junjun Borres, tubong Cagayan de Oro City. And ako po ay, so doon po ako pinanganak sa bayan ng Nazareth.
Wow!
So the always ask me, can anything good come from Nazareth? Apparently, because siguro sa village namin na barrio, tinatawag na Nazareth, there were about 6 or 7 of us who became Jesuits as far as I know, no? So, so kaya yun ang naging biroan namin. No? So, doon din ako nag-aral, elementary, high school and college sa Xavier University. That's a Jesuit school. Okay, and I joined the Jesuits in 1986. Okay, so that's how many years ago? So more than probably 37 years. So, and then I was ordained in 1996. Okay, so my first assignment when I was ordained was in New Bilibid prisons.
Prison ministry po yan?
Yes, prison ministry. So I didn't know. I've never been to a prison. I've not seen a prison cell before. I've not gone to any jails. But I was assigned to the premier correctional institution of the country.
Yes po.
New Bilibid prisons. At that time, bago-bago lang nagsimula yung aming prison ministry. And our office there is called Philippine Jesuit Prison Service. Okay, so I was the second executive director. So I was there for 4 years. I got paroled in 2000. Okay?
You got paroled.
2000. So, and
how is it po being assigned in the prison ministry? Ano-ano po yung mga activities po na ginagawa ni Father?
Siguro they have plenty of time, so we fill their time with many activities. You know, sadly, there's a sobrang laki ng institution. At that time, there were over 10,000 inmates. So I don't know if you've been to New Bilibid prisons.
Hindi ba?
I hope you don't go there as a resident, but we guess. So we have 3 camps there in New Bilibid prisons, maximum security compound, where the worst offenders are assigned to. In fact, at one time, we had the death row there. Okay? And then the medium security compound, mga 1 life term, ganyan, medyo magaang na kaso. And then minimum, this is the security compound for those who are on their way out, parang they are being transitioned, and the elderly. Okay, and what is interesting about the inmates assigned to minimum is during the day they can get out of their camp, but still within the reservation, and they get themselves not really employed. They would serve the homes and households of employees and given certain allowance. And then at the end of the day, by 5 o'clock, they should be back to their security compound. Okay, so they have relative freedom. But maximum and medium, they're really there the whole time. Okay, so we hold daily masses back then. I don't know, probably they still do that, but in recent years, nagka-problemas, of course, pandemic, insecurity.
Yes po.
So, but we have daily masses there, no? So, and the sacraments, confessions. So, and then, of course, katuwang namin ang ibang mga religious organizations, Couples for Christ, among them, who give also spiritual and prayer activities inside, you know. So, for the longest time, medyo click sa mga inmates ang charismatic style of worshiping. So if you go and attend a mass inside New Bilibid prisons, whether maximum or medium or minimum, there's always clapping from beginning to end. You know,
Singing
I know
praise
you've
songs.
seen, you know, worship songs. You know, you probably attended one of these charismatic masses. So, mangangalan kami because everyone's, but you know, when they sing, like, Panginoon, maawa ka, talagang tago sa puso yung kanilang kinakanta. No? So, and of course, some on the side, some counseling, okay? We partnered with this group of young professionals, psychologists. They organized some peer counseling inside. So they train inmates also to help counsel fellow inmates. It's amazing. We have, you know, volunteers. You know, not very many, because I think among the apostolates, parang prison ministry is not so attractive because of the stigma,
Yes po.
and of course, you know, the risk of danger. You know, but fortunately for me, you know, all my 4 years, I never experienced a riot there. You know, so yun.
Thank God naman po.
Yes. So after there, so
Father, bago po natin balikan yung vocation story niyo po, tanong ko po muna, ano po yung pinaka-memorable experience niyo po
Doon sa
during,
Bilibid? Well, marami, pero yung isang ano ko is medyo mabigat nga lang. Kasi during that time I was there, so there was still the death penalty was in force. So this was the time of President Erap, okay, 1999 and 2000. Around 6 inmates were put to death, 6 or 7. So all our parishioners, So ano namin yun. So, and in fact, 3 men were put to death in one afternoon.
Magbabalik kami after a few reminders, kaya stay tuned guys! Kayo pa rin ay nanonood ng Mama's Boys, Mama Mary's Boys. For more 5 siglo content, like, share at subscribe natin ang ating mga social media platforms. Back on our interview with Fr Junjun Borres, SJ.
3 men were put to death in one afternoon, 20 minutes apart. They were executed, all 3. So, in one afternoon, kasi they're involved in one case, okay? Homicide, robbery with homicide, and ang biktima ay police officer. So, they were put to death. So, and at that time, talagang, there was no execution for the longest time. The last one was Lim Seng, was this Chinese drug lord, was executed in Luneta. You know, it was a public, you know. So, the first one to be executed when I was there was Leo Echegaray for rape, you know. So, talagang nagpiesta ang media. They really descended, and my God, there was so much, you know. And in all this, as I reflected, parang, of course, the popular sentiment was really for Bitay,
Yes,
you know. And in fact, during the execution of Leo Echegaray, I did not witness it myself, but one of our volunteers reported to me that during the execution kasi begins at 2 in the afternoon. The first drug is given.
Lethal
put you-
injection.
a lethal injection to put you to sleep. Then a second drug to induce you into some kind of a heart attack or something like that. No, the third one is the final blow. No, so
So, bali, 3 injections po
3
yun.
drugs. You know, and when the second drug is given to you, that's irreversible. Okay, so I say that because there was one case, ERAP called up too late to stay the execution. The second drug was already introduced. So, parang sama-sama ng loob.
Hirap po.
Ang sama-sama ng loob ng aming director of the bureau. Because parang kung may balak pala siyang i-stay, parang sana, of course, all sorts of rumors came about na wala si ERAP doon, but we never really know. But at the end of the day,
it should have been prevented
should have
po.
been, So, anyway, so there was a report about the nearby school where a teacher now supposedly led the children in the counting, you know.
Ano po.
So, we never get to verify that, no, but I could understand. Because at that time, really, the general sentiment was really for Bita, you know. So, it is kind of, traumatic for you. Good thing for me, I never got to witness the execution because I was just a volunteer chaplain. So, there was really a government chaplain and limited ang number of slots inside the chamber. So, siya, binigyan. I would have by chance, one time, an inmate from the Correctional Institute for Women, sentenced for drug case, sentenced to death, she asked for me, so I could not refuse. So I prepared myself to witness her execution, and then ERAP stayed the execution, so I did not have to witness. So there was no execution happened. So it was kind of traumatic for everyone, one of my fellow priests who parang that he considers it one of the most traumatic experiences, even if he did not get to witness it, because every time there's an execution, so we would organize a prayer vigil just to accompany a convict, to his death. We accompany them with prayers.
Especially po yung family po ng...
Yes, and so we have a holding there to the families, and it is really because according to law they should not be given special treatment. So after no help is given really to the inmates and the families after he is put to death. So sila bahala sa pangkabaong. So kami naghahagilap kami ng kabaong, naghahagilap ng maisusuot ng patay kasi hindi na responsibilidad ng government yun. Kasi may rule na parang, which I found weird, Where is the, some acts of charity, even as you mete out justice, you're concerned also with the families, nandun man lang sana. But anyway, ganun. So, medyo mabigat talaga every time. So, imagine 6 or 7 yun na were put to death. Inmates. No? So after there, I was sent to do formation work. To my surprise, bakit ako inassign sa formation work? Galing akong bilibid. So, and in fact, from then on, yun na yung assignments ko. Until it changed 2 years ago when I was sent here. Formation work. So, I was a formator in our own seminary in Sacred Heart Novitiate, and then was made rector of San Jose Seminary. And after my stint, made rector again of our own house of formation as well. No? So, when I reflected about, I thought, while my years in prison probably prepared me for formation work and spirituality.
Yes.
Because I also give retreats, I give directions, spiritual directions. So I thought my years in Bilibid prison really prepared me for formation work and spirituality. When I was new in Sacred Heart Novitiate, the novices would always tease me. Like they would say, we always like to go to confession to you, Father, because we know, coming from prison, you have heard worse sins, which is true, when you hear the confessions of inmates, especially those in death row. One other things also that was, that is remarkable, but I'm really touched by the generosity of the prison volunteers.
Mm.
They're really faithful. It's a very tough apostolate
Mhm.
and dangerous, but they would still come.
Mhm.
So I was really grateful for that. And of course, the meeting inmates who are earnest in their desire for renewal and reform.
Mhm.
I have met inmates also who were really edifying. There was one whom I thought was just a simple prison volunteer doing paralegal for the inmates. You know what
Wow.
paralegal, assisting inmates in their cases. And I found out that he used to be an inmate there.
Mhm.
He was sent to prison. He was convicted wrongfully.
Mhm.
And after some close to 15 years, he was in prison. He was acquitted.
15 years po.
Close to 15 years.
Oh.
He was acquitted. And I was asking her, how much was he given for this wrongful conviction?
Mm.
This was in late 80s,
Mm.
probably, when he was released. Just barely 5,000 pesos. Probably, that was big money then, but, he lost already his youth,
Mm.
so, and anybody who had experienced that might be filled with anger and
Yes.
bitterness,
Mm.
but not Mangambo. That was his name, Mangambo. He chose to
help
continue
po,
serving
ano.
in prison.
Mm.
And he was the most calm, most gracious volunteer we have ever. He had died now. So, I'm grateful for all those things.
Mhm. Father, balikan po natin, paano po nag-start yung vocation story po ninyo? Paano po kayo naging pare, Father?
Well, nothing really, dramatic.
Is it your
Except-
dream po to become a
No.
priest?
So, but I think because when I was in college, I joined this religious group. We have a religious organization. We call ourselves Chapel Aids, and literally aids to the church, to the chapel. We do serving, reading, and clean the chapel. So, and that group has been some kind of a seedbed of vocations because there were many in that group who entered religious life.
Magbabalik ang Mama's Boys, Mama Mary's Boys, kaya huwag kayong aalis. We are still here with Fr Junjun Borres, SJ. Like, share and subscribe natin ang episode na ito to spread the good news and good vibes.
So I was made president of that organization. So, and then I became exposed to the Jesuits. Of course, it's just Jesuit school, but in a special way because I would see them, those who are aspiring to become Jesuits. We have what we call an aspirancy house called Haggerty Hall. At that time, there were about 20 of them. And I would see them singing at that 11 o'clock mass in the morning every Sunday. And I thought they just sang beautifully. And I love music. I love to sing. So I was wondering, that really attracted. And then I would hear how they would have weekly evening sessions on the Bible, and they would have masses. So that really attracted me, and then I sort of, and so in my last year of college, I joined them. And it was interesting that last year of college, that last year of college, my third year of college, and was discerning. And I thought really it was the Blessed Mother who really nurtured my vocation. And I always say, to the shock of my professors, that long before I knew Christ, I knew His mother. At least the devotion. Because the third year before I was accepted into the aspirancy hall, I found myself really, my own devotion to the Blessed Mother really growing intense. Like every morning, I would wake up around 5 and to prepare myself to the 6 o'clock mass. 5:30, sorry. 5:30 in the morning. The mass then in the school was around 6:30. So I would go, it's just not too far from our house. So I would walk, say the rosary, And when I get there rather still early, I would continue saying the rosary around the chapel, you know, and then I would attend Mass. So it was a pretty intense thing, you know. So, in fact, when I finally asked permission from my mother to enter religious life, I didn't realize I asked her on the day of the Annunciation, March 25th. And somebody just said, "Oh, you know what day it was?" So I really believe that, you know, it was the Blessed Mother, you know, and of course the devotion had remained when I entered.
Are you the only one po to
From
enter?
the family?
Yes po.
Yes, I'm the only one. When I became, when I entered the novitiate, so of course, you know, as a young novice, you know, we are all, they really help you nurture your vocation to the Blessed Mother. So every Saturday we would have activities for the Blessed Mother. And so I was able to write a song to the Blessed Mother, Stella Maris.
Yes.
Maria sa puso ni Mama, ika'y tala ng kalangitan, ningning mo ay walang pagmamali, inasisipang ilang
So I wrote that as a novice 37 years ago. I wrote it one afternoon. Father Manuling set it to music that same evening. But the inspiration had been brewing there, you know, quite some time. I just finally was able to write the lyrics that one afternoon. So I still kept the original copy of what I wrote, you know, so
I was about to ask that po, Father, ano, kung paano po nag-start po yung inyong journey naman po sa music.
yeah. Well, probably from my family because my father was a singer, you know, not a professional singer. But I heard that he used to join yung mga local tawag ng tanghala. You know,
Amateur singing contest.
and would come home with a sack of rice, some vegetables.
Wow.
He won the contest, you know. And I remember as a young boy, after dinner, I would remember that he would be lying there on the couch, on our sofa, and I would, you know, tatabihan ko siya, and then he would teach me songs. The first song he taught me was Secret Love. I don't know if you know that, you know. Once I have a secret love, you know, this was a song popular in the 50s, you know, and then Love Letters in the Sand, you know. So he taught me, in other words, how to sing, you know, at least love for music. Everyone in the family can carry a tune, you know, so that's all my own introduction to music. So, yeah, when I was aspirant, you know, deciding to become a Jesuit, that was one also my own attractions really is the Jesuit, the St. Louis Jesuit music, you know, which to this day we still continue to sing. Here I Have Lord, One Bread, One Body, you know, and many others, you know. So I learned those songs back in almost 40 years ago. You know, and, you know, still, it's part of my own journey to the priesthood and my vocation to religious life and the priesthood.
What's your most memorable song po? Yung po bang Stella Maris na po?
Sa'yo lamang, I also, I co-wrote with two other novices. So, the first stanza was by I think Philip Gan. The refrain is Manuling Francisco. The second and the third stanza was mine.
So
it was
parang
a collaboration.
collaboration.
Sa'yo lamang ang puso ko, sa'yo lamang ang buhay ko, kalinisan,
my music, my songs are really almost every music, a song I wrote was in collaboration with Manuling. Manuling was one of my best friends in the society, so we collaborated a lot. So, yan. So, Stella Maris, Sa'yo Lamang, Pananalig, what else? Bayan Umawit, Pagbubunyi. The last song we collaborated on was Tinapay ng Buhay. That was in 2001, 2002. Sus,
Yes, po.
tagal na rin. No? That was our last collaboration because, we were set to different assignments.
Join us again next week on the next part of our interview. I would like to thank Simpang Makapagal Vision Center for my eyewear. We would like to thank the following. There you have it, guys. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Mama's Boys. Hope to see you in our future episode. This has been your host, Karen Dane. Jama Taraishine!